Hey guys, Cody Bramlett here, CEO and founder of Science Natural Supplements, and I am excited today because I am here with Dr. Jesse, who is an incredible pharmacist and doctor who's going to be talking with us about some of the most amazing supplements and powerful supplements that change your life. And specifically, we're going to get in today to learning more about Moringa, which is one of the most incredibly powerful supplements in 2023 and 2024 and has completely taken off. Everyone's having this product right now because of the benefits from it, and it's really exciting to be sharing more of this amazing supplement with you today. So, Dr. Jesse, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm over here in Toronto. I know you're located a bit further away from me, but it's great to meet online and discuss what I think is one of the most enticing emerging products that has been around for centuries, but I think now is just kind of grabbing hold of public attention.
Exactly. And I think we have a few questions for each other about this, kind of go back and forth and make this kind of a fun conversation about what Moringa is so everyone who's listening can really understand it and get to decide whether or not it's something right for them. But obviously, I think today is really just more about education. So I know you had a few questions you want to start off for me, right, to get this whole thing going. So why don't we fire off from there? And then I know I have a list of questions for you too. So let's get this thing going.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I know a lot of people are interested. I mean, as the founder of Science Natural Supplements, what inspired you to want to explore Moringa in the first place and natural ingredients in general?
Yeah, definitely. So for those who don't know or haven't been on reading my blog or anything on the emails for a long time, I actually started out in the gym space. I was a trainer in San Diego at a kettlebell gym, and I helped people lose weight and get in shape. And one of the parts that drove me insane the most is I would have people come in for nutritional consultations, and they would show me the supplements they're taking, which a lot of times were full of fillers and garbage and junk. And they basically were paying incredible prices, $50, $60, $70 for a 30-day supply of something that just did not have any benefits to it. And they could have gone down to the grocery store and gotten almost anything off the shelf that would have been more beneficial. And so at that moment, I knew I had to create a brand and a company, which became Science Natural Supplements, that was going to take care of the clients in my gym. And luckily, the brand took off so successfully that I was able to hand the gym off to some of the trainers that worked there. So they were able to continue on the mission we had there. But I was able to focus on continuing to help people succeed by taking supplements. We'll get into more of why I think supplements are so important. But Moringa was one of those supplements that came about in a conversation similar to this, probably about 3 years ago. And I was looking at different supplements to help with some ailments I had within my own body. And the nutritionist I was talking to was talking about the benefits of Moringa and how exciting it was. And, we actually put together an offer for everyone on the email list, probably 4 or 5 years ago. Hey, you want to try this new product called Moringa? And no one cared. If you can believe that. It's one of the most popular supplements in 2023, 2024. And back then, no one cared at all. And so we kind of gave up on it until one day we were just chatting with a few customers, and we sent out the offer again, and it worked amazing. And not just that, we had great feedback, a lot of positive energy and positive vibes that came from this amazing supplement. So, it wasn't like I discovered this on a tree magically on a journey somewhere. It really just kind of came from a conversation with a nutritionist trying to help me out. And then it just randomly got inspired and worked out with a few customers of ours, and it's taken off since.
That's amazing. And it's a lot of what I hear from my patients too, especially the patients now that are asking about it because they're so curious. There's so much great information out there about it too. And I think that, with more curiosity, I think we're going to have more and more data coming in from scientists who are looking more in depth at what it's available to treat. And I think that we're going to start to see those specific treatment targets be more specific in the future, like diabetes, for example. I think will be one of the first ones that they'll try to elucidate.
I do have a question for you. I want to jump in and get some more information out of you. So anybody doesn't know, Dr. Jesse is a pharmacist at a very renowned. He actually works in like 4 different places, including consulting with us. So it's awesome to have him here. But I wanted you to share a little bit of science about what Moringa is, right? So I'm the health nut. I'm the guy that reads and listens to books people like you write, and I love creating and sharing these products with people by working with my great team and my great manufacturing partners to be able to get them out there. But could you share a little bit about what stands out from Moringa and what really makes it a powerful supplement that you're recommending it to your patients? Like what people can really understand to take home from this call about the benefits of this product?
That's a great question. I mean, I would never recommend it to everyone as a blanket statement, but just to give everyone that's listening some information about why I think it's a great supplement in general. It's got over 100 characterized compounds that make up what Moringa is. And many of these things have been shown to be among the cheapest and most reliable alternatives for a good nutritious supplement. So for example, I can tell you that, it has vitamin A, vitamin C, calcium, magnesium, zinc, a whole gamut of amazing nutrients in it, magnesium, fatty acids, iron as well, that I think are just absolutely essential to be included in most people's diet. It's also one of the few supplements I'm aware of that is a full protein source. So it has all 9 essential amino acids within Moringa. And all of these put together have not only anti-inflammatory effects, due largely in part to quercetin, which is also a part of Moringa. And quercetin is a very, very popular supplement now. I think it was when about 5 years ago is when I started to hear more about quercetin. But above and beyond the anti-inflammatory effects, it's like I mentioned, there's also some anti-diabetic effects that people are investigating as well. And actually, Dr. Rhonda Patrick has looked into this herself. She's been wearing a continuous glucose monitor for the past several years. And anecdotally, so an N of 1, right? She's noticed that every time she takes her Moringa, that her blood sugar is consistently lowered to a significant degree. So something to keep in mind. And I think, as I mentioned, that's going to be something that will be more and more important as we go forward with more data coming out. So anti-inflammatory, anti-diabetic. It also has a slew of antioxidants in it too. And we all know that those pesky antioxidants that cause oxidative stress and cell damage and inflammation as well can cause insane downstream effects on our body, like cancer, for example. So I don't want to say that this is going to be the best emerging anti-cancer supplement moving forward, but maybe it's something that people can consider as an adjunct or an add-on to their therapy in the future as we learn more about what's so amazing about Moringa. But it really is an amazing plant and tree. It's able to thrive in so many, adaptable, various climates, and it's very adaptable to different soil conditions too. So not only is it incredibly nutritious, but it's also what's considered a sustainable crop. So in places where, nutrition is hard to come by, it's something that is incredibly valuable. Yeah. So with all of that said, I know it was a ton of information. I mean, Cody, can you share just a little bit about your personal experience with Moringa and kind of the journey that led you to believe in Moringa as a general overall health and, wellness supplement?
I'd love to share that. So in general, a lot of people know that I sell a lot of turmeric, right? We're all about anti-inflammation, right? Inflammation is bad.
I'm also a big proponent of turmeric. It was a lot of the research I did back in the day. You know this about me, but
yes.
So super big turmeric nut on this end.
Yeah. And so the anti-inflammatory properties of Moringa, I think, are one of the first things that stood out to me. And the fact that it comes from a tree and basically is used for everything. The fact that it has all the protein that you mentioned earlier. I mean, this is an incredible product that people sometimes call the miracle tree, right? It's literally labeled that in different cultures. And it's used by cultures from around the world, in Africa and South Asia. It's grows in the Himalayas. Like I said, it grows everywhere. So it's an incredible strain and family of trees. And it really caught my attention. And when the nutritionist brought up that information to me originally, I was looking to try and solve some inflammatory issues in my body. And I just said, this sounds amazing. I want to give it a shot, especially using the whole leaf product that we do. That really is good. And I think one of the most important things I do want to share about why I like this product, or even just in any supplement in general, is that there's not one way to solve all your health problems, but there's 100 ways to kind of get 1% better. And so, like you mentioned earlier, right, there's the protein in it, right? It's great for antioxidants. It has all these little kind of things, right? These are this little 1% that are increasing our health every single day by taking this little capsule of a supplement from a tree that doesn't grow in our backyard, unfortunately, that can help change our life.
Great to hear. That's amazing information that you just gave. And one thing I want to point out too is that, yeah, you're right. There isn't one particular supplement that is going to cure everything. But from your training days, even the worst workout is still better than no workout at all. And so sometimes adding something small, even if the benefit is minimal, is still better than not having that benefit at all. So will
100%.
Will Moringa cure all? No, unlikely, but it will probably help you in certain ways that maybe you're lacking.
Yeah, exactly. I always love the idea of what are supplements? They're supplemental, right? We're not getting stuff in our diet. We're trying to fill that void. We're trying to take care of it. And that's why it's crucial to be taking supplements like this, because just you physically can't get it.
Yeah,
And if
exactly.
you can, more power to you. Have the raw product. But I don't know. I don't know if there met anybody who's able to get access to this fresh every single day. It just doesn't exist in the Western world, unfortunately.
No, and it doesn't transport very well. It's not refrigerated well, so oftentimes we'll see it in the powder form. The pure leaves are very hard to come by, especially in North America. And so one thing I want to know is, do you incorporate moringa into your daily routine? What's that like? Are you still using it daily?
Yeah, definitely. So I have a whole plethora of supplements, probably about a dozen or so I take every single day at breakfast time. I'm a big proponent in the morning of waking up, having 1 cup of black coffee, maybe a granola bar, maybe an egg, something very just small and simple to put food in my stomach. And then I have my plethora of supplements, and then I go out do my dog walks and my workout and those kinds of things. So it is definitely among the dozen that I take every single day, because I do feel it's just one of those all around supplements that's almost like a multivitamin in a way that really helps take care of so many different things within your body and support so many different things within your health.
And you mentioned you take it in the morning with your supplements. Have you tried taking it at different times of the day? In my personal experience, my patients, I don't think it makes much of a difference, the timing of it, but I'm just curious what you've tried.
Yeah, for me, I'm a morning person, right? In the evening, especially with after work and after we get off all my phone calls or work calls and stuff like that, I'm toast. And so remembering to take supplements is impossible. I think the most important thing is making sure you have a daily ritual. And so in the morning is the easiest time for me. So anybody who's looking to try to do that, of course, go on YouTube, right? Go on Google, look for daily rituals that kind of help you stay healthy. But really for me, it's waking up, taking my dogs out, getting 1 cup of black coffee. I try not to have ever more than one. One's just a good way to start my day. After that, I usually have a little bit of granola, an egg or two, and my supplements. And that is just how I start my days. From there, it's dog walks, exercise, and then off to work. So I encourage anybody who's listening to this, obviously, to give Moringa a try, check it out and see if it's going to help you. But that kind of idea of creating that daily ritual really allows you to succeed, because it's like brushing your teeth. You do it unconsciously before you go to sleep every single night. Right?
Yeah.
Kids fight it forever. You force your kids to do it, and then it just becomes ingrained. And I wanted to make sure I could do that with my healthy start in the morning, and it really has changed my life. I used to be a wake up whenever kind of person, go to bed whenever kind of person, and it did not work. But by having this kind of protocol, and by the way, I usually wake up at like 6 o'clock on the dot without an alarm. It's kind of crazy. It really has changed in terms of my health, and because I'm able to stay consistent.
That's great. For me, it's the exact opposite. I'm not much of a morning person. In fact, most of my routine takes place at night. So when I take all of my supplements, at least the ones that I know I can take at bedtime. Sometimes I don't recommend them at bedtime, but I have, like you said, about a dozen or so, maybe more at this point, supplements that I'm taking at bedtime that have really kind of changed my life and my sleep pattern as well, which I think is excellent. And now some people listening to this might be skeptical about the effectiveness of natural supplements. I know a lot of people, especially patients of mine that come and see me, they ask me about pharmaceutical alternatives, and sometimes there's mistrust of natural supplements. So how do you address their concerns? And in your experience, like, how is it possible to build trust about the effectiveness of your products?
Yeah, definitely. So this kind of comes down to a strong question, and I like to talk about our manufacturing processes and who we work with on that, because I think it's crucial. So short answer is, inside the world of supplements, there are probably a dozen really big manufacturers in the entire nation. These are gigantic, like 1,000,000-square-foot warehouses with machinery that cost more than a fancy house, $1 million machines that are doing this kind of stuff. I've had the lucky pleasure to go out and tour 4 of these facilities, and I found 3 of them as partners for our different products. Why do I have different manufacturers for our company, not just one? Is because they're not all specialists at what they do. So our Moringa comes from one particular manufacturer, which is located in Utah, and they are an incredible manufacturer, giant facility. Again, those $1 million machines. This is one of their specialty products that they work with, and they source their ingredients, and they're just seem to be best at it. Right, the products we get from them are so much for Moringa are so much better than the other manufacturers that give us in samples. That's why we chose to go with them. So in the supplement world, there's not as much variety as we might think. If you go on Amazon, if you go to the grocery store, if you go to Walmart, it's probably coming from one of 12 manufacturers. It's absolutely bonkers to kind of wrap your brain around that. So we go out and choose each manufacturer for the particular product we're using to make sure that we have the best consistency in product. Now, a little information about the industry too. these facilities are all FDA registered, meaning they get surprise inspections from inspectors walking in, just like a restaurant would from the health department, and they give them a score, and they make sure they have to fulfill all the quality and health requirements to manufacture these food products that we are consuming, right? Because supplements are food. People tend to forget that it's not a pill, right? It's not something that's been chemically changed, stuff like that. This is just condensed food or of specific parts of a food pulled out that you're having in higher doses. So they have to follow all those requirements. They have to follow good manufacturing partners, GMP certifications, and then a few of them are also organic certified as well. So we're choosing the right manufacturer for the right product for consistency, and also, of course, for speed and getting it delivered to you. Last thing I want to do is have you buy some products and tell you, oh, we're out of stock for the next 3 months. I'll let you know when we get it in. No, I like to work with partners that actually can do it correctly. So everyone we work with is not some fly-by-night tiny warehouse. I remember seeing a PBS documentary years ago about a manufacturer of a garage who was doing vitamin C after they did male testosterone supplements. And then the kids were eating the vitamin C and having health problems because you can't be showing testosterone engaging supplements in kids. Like, no good, right? This doesn't exist. You don't do that kind of thing. You want to choose large brands, large manufacturers that can actually do this stuff, have protocols, have teams of dozens, if not hundreds of people taking care of your product to make sure it's safe, it's delivered to you on time, it's consistent, and you're not going to have anything funky. And lastly, they all test things in their labs, inside and third party. And we, every single month, send out a couple dozen products to different labs to get them tested as well. Because we want to make sure that, number one, they don't have anything mold or heavy metals or anything bad like that, but also that you're getting what you pay for, and we're getting what we've contracted for, so that way it's the right product. So I wish I could say, oh, this is blessed by a monk and we farm it ourselves, but we sell sometimes thousands of bottles of Moringa in a month. There's no way a small farm could do that. You have to work on a much larger scale through smart processes to create something that actually has consistency. So that way you, your mom, your best friend, your cousin, person 600 miles away, a person 3,000 miles away can have that same quality product. I want to make sure we can almost be the Starbucks of quality, right? You go to Starbucks, it's always the same no matter where you go. I want to make sure that no matter where you are, when you get that Moringa from me, it's the same quality that you should expect and trust.
Yeah, no, you made so many great points there, but of course the volume that you guys produce at any given time is massive. So you do need a reputable, large facility that is following the guidelines set out by the FDA, which is incredibly important. And the third party testing, I only trust supplements that I know are third party tested because, like you said, there are nefarious things happening out there. As much as we hate to admit it, there are people trying to scam the system and that are unintentionally or intentionally putting people at risk of harm. So that's also one of the big reasons why I love working with you guys so much, is because I know that what we're putting out is something that I can trust as well, and something that I would be able to confidently give to my grandmother or my mother, right, my sister, something like that. Those are incredibly important to me. And just to add on to what you said, aside from, of course, the facility has to be functioning properly, and we want to make sure that it can handle our volume. When people ask me about natural health products, I'm often more inclined to at least recommend that as a starting point because of the side effect profile of most of these natural health products, particularly with Moringa. Moringa has been around for centuries, and we know the safety of this product. It's incredibly well tolerated. We'll talk a bit about the most common side effects that I see, but compared to I would say the better performing pharmaceutical supplements, the side effects don't even come close. Oftentimes I have to warn about 5 or 6 different side effects that someone might experience from one single medication. Whereas when it's a natural health product, specifically I'm talking about Moringa, I almost don't have to worry. As long as they start at a reasonable dose and they increase it at a reasonable time frame, I'm almost not even concerned. I'm inclined almost just to tell them, start low, go slow, and you'll probably have an incredibly beneficial experience in most cases. Now, everyone's a little bit different, but that's typically where I start with, because pharmaceutical medications are, always packed up with side effects that are unintended, but unfortunately are packed into the nature of the molecule. It is, a bit of a promiscuous molecule in many cases, and it will attract many different, markers across the body that, of course, ends up becoming the prescribing cascade we see across the United States, where you're now treating a side effect and then you continue this cycle, and people end up on 13 medications. It's sad to see. So I always like to prevent that if I can, and natural health products are a great place to start because oftentimes the prescribing cascade ends there.
I would say too, like, it's important to me that we're supporting our body ever we can, because when we are taking medication, sometimes very well needed, very much so needed, right? I have one drug I have to take, I could die without it, right? So we need to take those things, but we also need to be taking as much as we can to support our body so it can handle that side effects of those drugs, the harshness that is there. One of my dogs, I love dogs. She has heart problems now, and they want us to put her on this new medication. And the first thing my wife and I did was go online and look at what the side effects were and determine what other supplements or things we can do in her life to mitigate those issues. Because the last thing we want to do is give her a drug to take care of her heart, but have her kidney shut down or her appetite fall apart or her knees get weak, right? We want to make sure that we're mitigating those things as much as possible and being smart, taking that responsibility for our own health and not just listening. Because the vets, when they said take this, they're like, oh, there's no side effects. That's the literally words that came out of their mouth. And hey, look at the bottle, and they didn't even read the bottle. So it's crazy.
Yeah, anyone that says there's no side effects, I think is misleading people. I would never say that even about most natural supplements. There's of course side effects included with anything you take. There's side effects included with eating a steak, for example, right?
Yeah.
Now, is it something you're going to recognize on a daily basis, or like it might be so low level that you don't recognize it? But there's always something happening when you ingest something, whether it's a supplement, whether it's food, whether it's medication. There's always something happening that you didn't intend to. Yeah.
No, I just want to say this is really exciting right now for those who are actually listening and still hanging with us. Thank you for being here. But I just want to kind of bring out, the reason why Dr. Jesse is here now, why you might be getting an email for him, or, maybe this first or second call you have had a chance to listen, is because he is an experienced pharmacist. He is a doctor who can actually give advice on what's working and what's not working and what not to do. He's not a pseudoscientist like so many people out there are claiming to be online. It's quite, disturbing and sad. And this is one of the reasons why when I first met Dr. Jesse at a conference about a year ago, I knew I wanted to have him become an advisor of our company and be able to share his insights about the products that we have and about what people can do to improve their lives, as well as what products we should be bringing to the table so that way you can live healthier. So with all this wonderful experience you have, I'd love to learn more about Moringa, because I know you've done research on this. I've looked at your notes before. Can you kind of just walk people through more about Moringa and how it all works? I'd love to also learn if there's any major issues that can happen people want to be aware of. I know that turmeric, for example, if you take way too much turmeric, it can make your gut inflamed and give you an uncomfortable bowel movements, right? That's why you shouldn't take like a handful of it at a time. Yeah. And so people who are excited and want to give Moringa a try can have more confidence in what they're doing and less of a question mark of whether this is right for them or not. So yeah, kind of walk us through this.
Yeah, so usually when people are curious about Moringa, oftentimes it's because they hear about the anti-inflammatory effects. But I also do want to mention, of course, we talked a bit in the beginning about how incredibly packed these leaves are with nutrients. So we mentioned it has vitamin A, C, E, iron. Actually, there's some new studies I was just reading. Well, I have to look at the data. I don't know if it's entirely new, but that pregnant women that were taking this compared to those who weren't actually had higher hemoglobin levels, and they had a lower incidence of some not congenital disorders, rather. It was a lower incidence of stunted growth in the children. So and I want to put a big asterisk on this. It's not something that I blanketly recommend for pregnant women. In some cases, it seems like it is a very positive supplement, but always, always, always consult with your healthcare professional before you decide to start a new supplement. But some very promising data about that. And I mentioned as well with the potential anti-cancer effects too. Like I said, big asterisk. This is not something that I think is going to cure or prevent cancer in any significant degree at the moment, based on the data I have. But some of the studies that they've done against lung, breast, skin, throat, and even pancreatic cancer have been very positive. And some of the compounds found in high concentrations in Moringa are incredibly effective at reducing the incidence of cancer in some of these studies. They're smaller studies with animals in most cases, but the preliminary evidence is very, very interesting. And of course, we know that a lot of the mechanism behind cancer is related to inflammation and oxidative stress. And lo and behold, Moringa also is able to reduce inflammation in the body, largely due to the content of flavonoids and alkaloids and tannins and glycosides, a million other different compounds that are a part of Moringa. And it's able to suppress what we call the NF-kappa B pathway, that is a massive anti-inflammatory pathway in the body. And that's what I think is probably predicating behind all the anti-cancer effects. Again, as I was saying as well about the antioxidants, they're able to scavenge those free radicals and reduce some of the oxidative stress. And again, this might lead to a lower incidence of cancer. We'll have to wait and see what the evidence suggests, but I think right now it's very promising. Now, you were talking about, how should people be taking it and how can individuals take it with confidence? I was mentioning briefly before about some of the side effects of Moringa, and I'll talk about it now. The most common that I see is digestive issues. If you start too high of a dose of Moringa, you might notice that you'll have nausea or diarrhea, maybe some stomach cramps as well. Though it's rare among my patients, I always recommend start low and go slow. So if you want to start with a dose of like 500 milligrams, that's a totally reasonable dose. If you're using the powder, you can even reduce it further. Most capsules I see, they'll start at the 400, 500 milligram range. But if you buy the powder, you're able to tailor it a bit more. You can add that to your morning smoothie like I do, or like maybe Cody does. I don't know if you take the powder or the capsule. I'm curious to hear about which one are you taking.
I'm a capsule person because I like to just be one and done. I get into smoothies and then I get out of smoothies. So that consistency, that ritual I talked about, it's got to be the same, whether I'm traveling, whether I'm visiting my family. It's got to make my life easy.
Yeah, fair enough. And you have a bit more of a hectic life, I would say, than I do. So my morning routine is very simple with my smoothie. I add a lot of different things to it, among which is Moringa. Now, in terms of, so we mentioned the side effects. I'm not aware of any medication interactions with Moringa, but if you're ever concerned about it, I would recommend you ask your doctor just so they can take a look at the medication list you're on and make sure that there are no concerns with Moringa.
Can I say something? Because this is something that always bugs me. I would have people tell me, oh, supplements, they don't work. They're fake.
Right.
Yet I'd have clients at the gym when I had personal training clients who were going in for some sort of surgery, and they were told, make sure that you don't take supplements for like 5 days before your surgery for all these reasons. So like, I find it very hypocritical how people think it's literally does nothing, yet doctors are saying, don't take it if we're going to be cutting you open and doing surgery because because of the effects it has. So I just wanted to share that with you because I find it always crazy for me when people start to discount natural health. It's, come on, this has been with us for thousands and tens of thousands of years. Of course it works.
Yeah. And actually, I used to be in the camp of I'm totally against it because it's not pharmaceutical grade and all of these reasons. But having been in the field more and more and getting more understanding of what these natural supplements have to offer, I've completely flipped sides. I'm 180 now. I believe that there's a lot that we can still learn about these natural supplements, but I think what we know now is that there are some that are just excellent. I think Moringa falls under that category. Turmeric as well is one of my favorite supplements too. Now, I think I briefly mentioned for someone who's new to Moringa, like I said, the dose you can start with is usually around 400, 500 milligrams a day. If you want to use the Moringa powder, the typical dosage is usually about a tablespoon or two teaspoons rather, which equates to about 5 or 10 grams per day, which is a higher dose, but you can, like I said, lower that if you're interested and sprinkle it into your food or into a smoothie. You can even make tea with it too. And there's some hot tea options. There's some cold tea options. I think they all taste great. One thing you might notice is that the Moringa is a bit, it's a harsher or sharper taste. So maybe that's also why Cody's preferring the capsules. You won't taste it. Whereas for me, I'm including it with 10 other things in my smoothie, so I don't even notice it. But if you're someone who is a bit more sensitive to the taste, try either the capsules or the powder in a larger smoothie, and you might have a better response with that. Now, I do want to mention, so like I said, there are some really excellent studies out there about use in pregnant and lactating women, for example, which is really the only category that I would, caution against everybody using it. But there are some really positive studies about, like I said, reduced incidence of stunted growth. It increases the hemoglobin, which is related to the iron levels in your body, which we know are incredibly important for pregnant women. That's without a question. There are other ways you can reach those levels too, besides with Moringa. So if you're ever concerned, you can always explore other options. There's no concern if you wanted to, during that time in your life, not take Moringa. You can always find an alternative. Now, will it be as packed with nutrients and all of these kind of vitamins and proteins that are essential to our well-being? Maybe, maybe not, but Moringa certainly has all of that taken care of. I just wanted to say really quickly, you were talking about how you take it in the morning. I just want to say you really can't mess this one up. So I also take it in the morning with my smoothie, but you can take it at nighttime as well. Pick your favorite time. The best time to take it is when you'll consistently take it.
So one thing I know that question comes up a lot. Obviously, we talked a lot about how to take it, how to get started, when to doing it. By the way, for those of you who have the capsules at home and you want to put it in a smoothie, just open your capsule and dump it in. They just slide apart. Pretty simple to do. Save yourself the time having to measure things. Just there's your dose. I was kind of curious. A lot of supplements out there, or a lot of drugs, for example, you may not want to take forever. So in the supplement world, is Moringa something that is okay to consume every single day, all year long, for the rest of your life? Or is it something that we should be taking in kind of waves? Do it for 3 months and then take it on and off. And obviously, moderation's key. I'm assuming we don't want to be taking one bottle worth a day. That's probably going to not help anybody. But I'd love to kind of get your take on the longevity of this type of supplement, and as well as kind of the industry in general.
So yes, is this something you can take consistently every single day? Yes. And to your point, so you said you don't want to be taking a whole bottle at once. I 100% agree. But what surprised me is I found some studies that said the max dose they have tried was about 70 grams a day. I don't know anybody who has taken 70 grams of Moringa a day, but there are studies that have shown that that's supposedly the safest maximum dose. Would I ever recommend any of my patients take a dose that high? Absolutely not. I think I would probably cap it at between 2 and 3 grams a day. You can go higher if you want to, but I don't think you're going to see much benefit. If anything, you're just going to be emptying your wallet more and more. So stick with a reasonable dose, which I would say falls between 500 milligrams a day and about 2 grams. If you start at a lower dose and you want to work your way up, do so over the course of a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks, and I think you'll be in good hands there. You won't have the massive side effects that you might have if you started with 11 grams in the morning, right? Now, the quality also matters. So we were talking briefly before about, actually in depth before, about the provider that we use, and it matters who you get it from. So you want to always vet your source. So when you look at whether it's us at Science Natural Supplements or any other major distributor, you want to make sure you know where you're getting it from. You want to know that you can trust the product and that it's been third-party reviewed and that their facility is FDA approved as well. Just know that some people might respond differently to supplements. You might have a terrible reaction. You might be that 1 in 1,000 person that Moringa just doesn't sit well with. I haven't met that patient yet, but you might be it. So just know that. And if you feel like you're that person, try starting at an even lower dose. And if you're really having issues, then you can always just cut it. But above and beyond this, I know we're talking about supplements. It's great that we're, giving you all this information, but the most important thing is maintain a balanced diet outside of all of this. You have to be maintaining a diet that is rich in greens and, protein and fats, healthy fats, to be exact. And you want to be exercising on a daily basis, or at least a semi-daily basis. And exercise can be walking, one subway stop further, or walking to work rather than taking your scooter or your bike. But you have to fill these other pieces of your life before you start supplementing. One supplement will not solve all of your problems. It might solve a small fraction of them, though.
Exactly. It's all about trying to make sure that everything in our life is that choice to give us that 1% better health. Little trick I used back in the day when I was really lazy. I'd park as far away from where I was as possible, so I had to walk further. That was kind of one of my first tactics to get into a much healthier mindset.
I wanted to say one quick thing. So that's an awesome way to do it. My personal way is I've stolen this from Andrew Huberman, who's incredibly popular right now. I do his morning walks to try and get the sunlight. I'm in Toronto right now. The sun is hiding most of the time, but when I can, that's what I do in the morning, is a quick 15-minute walk. I think it's a great way to start your morning. Everyone should be doing at least a little bit of moving as early as you can.
I agree. I do not disagree with that one. You got to get outside and get some air and get some light on you. So yeah, this has been a lot of fun, and I think we're going to do a lot more of these, because this is an exciting way to kind of talk about a supplement more in depth and kind of get a perspective from a clinical professional who actually prescribes people. Because when people come into your pharmacy, you're not always like, here's the drugs. They come in and ask for help, and you go, have you tried these supplements yet? And I know that you do that, and that's one reason why we're doing these calls, to help people understand more about it. So thank you again for being here. I greatly appreciate it. For all those who are listening, I'd love to hear your feedback. Please reply to one of our emails, whether whether you're getting emails from me or Dr. Jesse, and kind of just say, hey, I liked it, I didn't like it. Love to hear your feedback about how the call went and what you'd like to learn more of. So thank you again, Dr. Jesse. I appreciate you being here and coming on. And do you have any last little bits or advice for people out there? We've shared so many so far, it's probably overwhelming for people. But is there any last thing you want to share before we jump off?
Yeah, no, I know we shared a lot of information today, but like you, I'm also curious. If you guys want to see something different, if you want to know more about Moringa, if you want to know more about other supplements, if you have other burning questions, just let us know. And we're happy to do more of these videos to answer as many questions as you have.
Thank you, everybody, for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Cody.